Hello, everyone. Today, I'd like to present the paper Knowledge Organization in AI-Era Biological Sciences, a thematic review by Qiaoyi Liu and Dr. Jian, published in Knowledge Organization in 2026. This paper examines how biological knowledge organization systems, or BioKOS for short, are evolving alongside AI-driven scientific discovery, and we propose a framework called KOAF to analyze that transformation. I'm a third year PhD candidate in information science and technology at Syracuse University. My background spans biology and LIS, and my research focuses on how bio-KOS interact with AI augmented scientific discovery. Dr. Jensen is Professor Emerita at the iSchool at Syracuse University. She is also the director of the Dublin Core Academy and a recipient of the 2020 Frederick G. Kilgore Award. Her research covers metadata, ontologies, knowledge modeling, and research collaboration networks. Before we discuss the framework, let me briefly explain what knowledge organization actually means. In simple terms, KO is the discipline that decides how accumulative knowledge should be structured, what categories exist, what relationships matter, and what rules govern how new knowledge gets incorporated. Is not just about labeling or filing. It is about making principal choices that determine what humans or computer systems can find, use, and reason with. This is the intellectual foundation of our study. To make my explanation more concrete, KL addresses two fundamental questions. The first is the what question. For instance, what is a species? Is the inner mitochondrial membrane a part of the mitochondrion, or does it merely regulate processes within it? These are not trivial questions. They set the boundaries of a discipline and constructs the common language and meaning we use. Kale makes those definitional choices explicit and consistent so that two researchers or systems using the same term are operating within the same conceptual framework. The second question is what gets counted? Should a gene be classified by its molecular function, its evolutionary origin, or the disease it's linked to? All three are valid, but they lead to completely different knowledge structures and therefore completely different purposes. KO decides which properties matter, how they relate to each other, and what gets left out. The reason we choose biology is because it is arguably the most classification oriented discipline within the natural sciences. Their subdiscipline called systematics is dedicated entirely to building classification systems from Linine taxonomy in the 18th century to modern phylogenetic trees. And today, biology has become radically data driven. We are now dealing with exponential volumes of genomic sequencing data, clinical records, and multi scale complexity spanning moleculars to organisms. This tension between the theory driven tradition of biological classification and the current data driven demands of modern biology is precisely the terrain our study occupies. Every classification system reflects not a timeless natural order, but the epistemic conditions of its era. So this slide shows how KO elements are combining with computational tools to conduct applications that connect in practice. On the left, we have structured resources such as ontology annotation data, controlled vocabularies, structured entity relationships, knowledge graphs, KG, and knowledge bases, KB. These are the terrains of KO studies. They are increasingly integrated into techniques such as machine learning, text mining, topic modeling, and retrieval augmented generation RAG workflows. And finally, on the right, these combinations can support disease gene identification, cross domain integration, semantic interoperability, and AI assisted reasoning. We can observe from this trend that BioQoS are no longer passive repositories, but instead they increasingly become active infrastructures that embed within the scientific workflow. Therefore, it brings to our core research questions, which are two. First, how can we conceptually map BioKOS according to their functionality, their automation process, and reasoning capabilities? And then second, how does this evolution of these systems contribute to the broader transformation in biological research paradigms? So these questions motivated us to develop a framework. So instead of conducting a fully exhaustive systematic review, we adopted a thematic approach by selecting literatures based on two tiers from these sources such as Semantic Scholar, PubMed, Google Scholar, Archive, and bioRxiv. The first tier are conceptual papers that discuss KO and AI theories, which helped us to develop our framework. Um, Based on current existing KOS classifications, some are defined by complexity and some are divided by functionality and semantic relationships. We sort of realized that there is not a framework existing that is able to frame our research questions. And then the second tier is the empirical papers. That demonstrate AI integrated BioKOS. They are then analyzed using the framework that we constructed. So I will describe the three dimensions of our KOAF in the following slides. The first dimension is the level of functional sophistication. It consists of 5 levels. At the base, we have terminology disambiguation. This include controlled vocabularies that resolve ambiguity in annotation. Level 2 is data structure standardization. This includes shared schema enabling data exchange and interoperability. Level 3 is logic-based knowledge modeling. It includes formal ontologies with machine interpretable class hierarchies and axioms. And level 4 is semantic integration. Heterogeneous knowledge bases unified into queryable knowledge graphs. And at the top, we have level 5, which is AI driven knowledge discovery. This is where KOS actively scaffold hypothesis generation and automated scientific reasoning. Dimension 2 is automation degree in system construction. We divided them into 4 categories. The first is manual curation. These are 100% expert crafted, highly rigor, but kind of slow to scale. And then second is manual with basic automation. Term suggestion tools that assist curators, but validation remains human led. And then third is hybrid curation. This combines NLP and machine learning to propose candidate additions, which experts then validate before incorporation. And then finally, fully automated system. These are end-to-end computational pipelines with minimal human interventions. Dimension 3 is reasoning and inference capabilities. This measures what the finished system can actually do epistemically. Tier 1 is simple lookup. It returns stored records. Tier 2 allows hierarchical navigations of relationships such as part of, kind of. And then Tier 3 derives new facts through predefined logical rules and constraints. Tier 4 performs cross-ontology inference and semantic interoperability across different datasets. And Tier 5, which is the AI scientist, is able to generate novel predictions and guide further inquiry with minimal human input. This is the most dramatic dimension of change across our corpus. So next, we use this KOAF to map the 27 empirical papers. We have functionality sophistication on the x-axis and automation degree on the y-axis. The size of each point represents the third dimension, reasoning and inference capability. We're able to observe the trajectory. Some earlier work sits in the bottom left. They are mostly manually curated, basic functionality, and minimal reasoning capabilities. Moving right and upward, we see the maturation of formal ontologies through the 2010s. And at the top right corner, these papers are mostly published between 2024 to 2025, and they converge at the highest level across all 3 dimensions. There are also systems that actively synthesize and generate biological knowledge. From this mapping, we are able to um, find these patterns. Overall, the mapping shows that more functionally sophisticated BioKOS generally demonstrate stronger reasoning and semantic integration capabilities. This verifies that our framework is able to capture this trend. And advanced systems increasingly support AI assisted inference and knowledge discovery workflows. The progression from simple controlled vocabularies toward ontology driven knowledge graphs also reflects increasing machine interpretability and computational integration. However, the framework also reviewed several important tensions. One major finding is that even highly sophisticated systems still depend heavily on hybrid human machine curation rather than fully trusting autonomous automation. This suggests that expert oversight remains important for maintaining reliability and epistemic quality of these systems. Our study also identifies a broader tension between scalability and explainability. As systems become larger and more automated, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain transparency, reliability, and epistemic trustworthiness. Most importantly, we argue that BioKOS do not simply organize knowledge passively. They actively shape what AI systems are able to retrieve, how to connect, and what to infer within scientific workflows. The contemporary scientific transformation also increasingly occurs through infrastructure convergence and integration, rather than the traditional paradigm replacement suggested by classic Kuhn sense. In the broader sense, we suggest that KOAF may help support evaluation of transparency, accountability, and reproducibility in these AI integrated scientific systems. We also notice that structured knowledge representation remains essential for grounding domain specific AI reasoning. In other words, logic based ontologies and formal semantic structures continue to play an important role in helping AI systems interpret specialized scientific knowledge reliably. An important open theoretical question is, can these statistically AI systems achieve genuine semantic understanding without logic based knowledge structures? This leads to several future research suggestions, including validating KOAF across multiple scientific domains, develop measurable indicators for the framework's dimensions, and tracking the longitudinal evolution of AI integrated knowledge organization systems over time. So, our conclusion is BioKOS increasingly function as active infrastructures in AI driven biological research. The KOAF also captures this transformation across functionality for sophistication, automation degree, and reasoning capabilities. Advanced KOS are able to support semantic integration, AI assisted inference, and knowledge discovery workflows. More fundamentally, knowledge organization increasingly shapes how AI driven scientific inquiry is structured, integrated, and inferred. So, thank you, and we welcome any further questions and discussions through the posted email. Also, the link below is the full paper and all the underlying data sets and the interactive mapping plot that we just demonstrated in the results section. Thank you for listening. And we thank the IMI Press for giving us the opportunity to promote our research.